Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. I'm alive from Fab Your Heart, children of God. God, that's you. Just had a couple things to show you. I'm thinking if I just stand in one place like this, like as if I'm at a podium, I'll stay on track better. Just brewed tea. Now what do? I said it one other day. You take a little ginger and you cut it up. You could mince it around. You can do a little pulptation to it in a mortar and pestle. What is the lighting doing here? Hello? No, I don't have 5D boobs. When the camera was flashing towards the road, so it was having like a panorama or something. Looks like it's 10 acres out, which would be absolutely wonderful. But here we are right now. Do you see that? It's stupid. That's really... Okay. A couple things to show you. These are fun. And it doesn't look like it would be loud, but it is. It's called Junior Cuckoos. You must have an adult with you to play with fireworks. And don't let firecrackers in your hand and throw them. It's a good way to end up at the ER on the 4th of July. Listen to your parents about explosions. Please. Thanks. Remember I said I was going to show you. I wish this was supposed to help me get... It doesn't even fit right. This is all we can afford right now. Yeah, I'm gonna get a lot of hay cutting like this. What if you guys just think it's so scary? It's like, well, I don't even have this sheath off. I mean, I'm liable to get injured or just show it to you. I gotta look it up. Shuangkan TLSAO. I'm scared. I mean, this would be something serious. There's still like a residue. John said to leave it. It's like for when they cut it. You guys, this is so scary. And once again, if this is a children's show, you do not always have an adult show you how to use sharp objects properly, and not unless you're in a supervised setting with the adult. Afraid to even look it up or some other. Well, anyways, it's still humorous, and that's not humorous. That John was trying to say it's not sharp. I'm like, what? All right. So I gotta eat it to fit better. All right, so this really isn't really a children's show. This is just an adult showing things on a show. But guess what? I'm not showing. All right, private parts. And I certainly don't want your kids talking to me about their private parts. Do you know who does that? That's pedophiles. Pedophiles do that stuff. So we're still back to the hand clippers for the... why is that doing this? Why? Is it because of the sun and then I'm in front of it? Oh, all right, well... 3 minutes. All right, brewed tea, if you do it in the sun, like you can't put it out in the sun one day and forget 2 days later, you're going to have like this sour, gross tea thing that tastes like you're trying to make it into a intoxicated brew. Oh my God, I said it was... It's not. I was going to read a verse so I can see how this is going. Please make sure to visit Pastor Chuck Baldwin and Hildebrand. And then I said a sister church, but I think they're just... I thought they were both Church of God. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's like necessarily like... I think they're still independent. They just joined together. So that was the wrong phrase. Because a sister church would mean that you were under the same head, I would think. So I don't think that's the case. I don't know. But they would still both be under the Church of God. I don't know if I ever said that when I kept getting this when I was younger and then I went into some rebellion, but technically because I was trapped here. And a lot of stuff just wasn't very clear for a long time. There was the razor in the hair was what I always came back to. And I always thought, well, it was because it was in the middle. It's not. Now I should technically have it memorized. But it'll bother me when I find it. if I do, someone's going to be like, no, that would be something he's saying in the beginning of the situation that's about to go wild in Ezekiel. The anger of God, we could look at that, the agony of Jerusalem because of God's anger, because they didn't listen again, because that's just what we do. It's what we do as God's children. It must get extremely exhausting. But thank God his patience never ends, and his mercies are always there. Jeremiah's cry of despair, Lamentations, too far back. I did actually see it. I just love to see myself on this camera of mine. Yeah, it's like the worst one. My teeth, it's like, it's not funny. Sign of the razor and the hair, chapter 5 of Ezekiel. So anyways, take a look at that. It's very interesting because then shortly, well, we're told, chapter 6, destruction of high places. I need to be careful with that because there's literally people in the pulpit and it's burning up like hell here in Southeast Michigan today. If you want to just bathe in your own bath from the minute you wake up to the minute you go to sleep, that would be today again in Michigan. Like, it's like, let's just get a little cloth here. And all I'm doing is standing here. I mean, if you're just standing and you're actually generating some sort of like, that it's a little bit warm out. Can't even imagine the South today. If you weren't up in some hills, whew. And then even, who's to know? So that is tea, I promise. Only, let's see what time it is. All right, well, it is actually 10 till 4, so I don't want to say what that would be for me, but John is going to be getting up to do what he's got to do for the weeks. I have a lot going on here. I need to say this super fast. So I had already just been psyched. I don't know what was going on. And John and I started a band, so I needed to be able to get out of that house for a little bit, or at least have some contact with one witness of something that may have occurred between the course of moving back at Tom and Ann's, because they were already got a winkle-tank on my son again, And then my son's mad, and it's set up that way because we're out west. It doesn't go well. I was just going back up with the Indians, blah, blah, blah. Same sort of stuff. So, but in the beginning, I was still more in a neutral place. I wanted to be more neutral about God. I'd been in recovery, so I'd been around a lot of different people with different religious beliefs, and you just kind of get to where it's like, we're all there to get sober. Some of us like to stay sober. Some get sober and go back and then get sober again. And actually, the description of a true alcoholic, what is she doing right now, is literally the fact that there is not some sort of extreme divine intervention. A true grade A alcoholic will get worse with age and will most likely not be able to get sober the first time. But that's been so long ago for me that, okay. Long story short, so then we start the band. We didn't realize the age thing. That was a bummer, so we kind of retracked. But we really liked the music. We did a cool CD, didn't promote it properly. Still needed some kinks to be kinked out, but we called it. It was called our, it was a demo, and we did no run-throughs, we did no pre-recording, we did no re-recordings. What we played at the studio that day, because we were only making $200 or $300 a piece a week, and at this aluminum factory, we'll just call it aluminum, worst thing for me to be around, like heavy dose, so, it got to where I couldn't even, like, bend my fingers open in the morning, and stuff, so we started talking about God. He got an apartment. They were still trying to really hog-tie me there, even get Jesse to stay back. You move too much, but it's really because of them. And and that's always been creepy because then, well, we don't want to dive over into weird stuff. Okay, so with him, and yeah, and so we're getting into the apartment, but I'm really, really starting to feel like a tug, like I can't do this neutral thing anymore with God. If I don't at least start over and try to retrain myself because a lot of my doctrine was skewed. I was taught at certain places back then that Revelation was real. I didn't agree with Revelation. So how am I going to fit in anywhere if every church I seem to be stumbling? I was not stumbling. But sometimes I do trip and I'm sober as all out. So I might trip in the door of church accidentally. Because that's funny, because I used to like fly in the air, but walking down a street was like, I just really have to just focus on one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. I'm going to just jump in the air and go crazy. I'm fine, All right, so what is she doing today? I don't know. So I was going to maybe say Ezekiel, but okay, so this would be testimony, but I'm not trying to see how this is just gut-wrenching stuff is so this would have been then around 2006, 2007. It's starting to bug me. I'm like, and I think I had talked to John about it. I'm like, no, God's not ever going to let me be. No, that's never going to happen. And it hasn't technically fully happened because we know the way this show is. And John was like, okay, this is professional right now. I'm in front of a congregation. I can't be jiggling and juggling and giggling. I'm not good at juggling. I could never learn it. I'd have never been a good clown all the way. I had to do more mind work. So he's like, if I said I did all these mistakes, God's never going to let me. He's never going to let me ever preach again. And I don't want to preach. John, I can't run a church. I'm not one of those preachers. I don't know what I am. I'm like, I swear it was those one people that have to go around yelling at everyone. And for years now, I've been saying, stop yelling at people. If they want to know God, they'll find God. Stop screaming at people about burning in hell. So that's a funny joke, ain't it? I gotta make it quick, because if he wakes up, I'll get I won't be able to really focus right. And so we would sit in the car. It was like 2 feet from the apartment in the upper of a old farmhouse, just so if everyone's gonna be freaking out about that. Let's see. So he's like, if you're gonna do that one day, and you think it's because of all these things that happen, he's like, maybe God has to reroute how it is. But he's like, yeah, I'm really starting to think maybe you are one of those, well, I hate to say it, hell and brimstones warners. And I'm like, nobody wants, no. Because I was like, I know I couldn't be like Joel. So we had gotten that out of the way. It was going to be Joel saying, surely we know that's not going on here. So then I'm like, yeah, those people are messed up. They're teaching people, they're sending more people to hell. I'm like, but isn't there like a gentle... And he's like, look, if you keep denying, and this is Scout's honor with the Bible and Jesus and God and Mother Earth, I have to involve her, I'm sorry guys, is, he's like, if you have been trying to dodge what you were supposed to be doing, that can explain a lot, too. But he wasn't blaming a lot, on me. He said, and the other thing is if you're really ready, you'll know it, and you won't be able to shut up about it. And you'll go, or you'll figure out a way to do this message, and you'll help Jesus' children. And it was very stressful still, and we still tried to go back to churches and stuff, and nobody was willing to really, I don't want to say sponsor us per se, but they wouldn't, because nobody was even saying that stuff in the church much. You can find the churches, but they're pretty empty. Right? There's only a small group that still likes those country churches where you go in and they're screaming at you. And it's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. Some of us need it. Some of us can go so dark and so, well, kind of too much of a beat of our own drum, quite frankly. And some don't need that much. They don't need that much like steering, you know. But some of us, if we are just like, oh well, I'm God, I can do whatever I want because I'm God, and like I can do what I feel when I feel. Some of us just, it's not a good idea. I'll try to, I'll just try not to do any details with that. So lo and behold, all these years keep going by. I'm digging deep into study. John's like, you study what you need to study. You like to take care of the house. You like to make food. You like to plant food. You like to do this. That is plenty. Because he could see what places it to me. First of all, I would bring my work home with me. And I had no idea how to separate work. And if it was involving emotional things like abuse, victims, the elderly, any of that, like, was horrible at it. Now, what I did find is if I we went and visited a home or something and we played music. But that's it. I wasn't hanging out, wasn't feeding them here because I'm going to just take them home in my head. And then where am I at home? I can't focus. So he picked up on that right away too. That's the crazy part, is the description of that I'm pushing him around and he was my whatever handmaiden, and he does, no, this guy, he got me. He saw how creative I was, and he knew that it was nearly impossible for me to exist like other people. And that didn't make it easy. That didn't make it feel good. I wanted to be out. I wanted to be a hard earner. I wanted to bring home the bacon, but it didn't have to be like billions of dollars. I mean, I wanted to make money. I wanted to make my way. It was all navigated and narrated to protect pedophiles in this county and the ones that I was raised with. So years are now passing though, and now I'm having issues with things coming up. I'm having to deal with issues with sexuality, the abuse again, but I've got my son. I'm still having to compartmentalize some of it, but some of it's just coming out because he's asking questions, and I'm not going to lie no more. He's pushing 8, 9, 10. He's asking very specific stuff about himself and about the people that raised him, including his distant birth father that he had still been trying to see once a year. On his own. I always left his visits up to him, between him and his father, but when he would say things specific that I knew had been going on prior to me divorcing the man, and it was lining right up, I didn't make my son go. I listened to his wishes. And I got abused by family for that too. That's where this gets so nutty, is here I'm like, John, for God's sakes, we met when? We started the band when? 2006. It's 2000. At this point, we're in the double wide, and I've decorated as much as I can and started projects and didn't finish. And but there was still a lot more done than a lot. Just kind of like Brentwood in a way. Okay, so is now you're looking at, we're going into 2010 or so. And I'm like, now I'm back in jail. We're dragged back. This whole thing to protect benefits. Woo! All right. So then, I'm like, this isn't working. God, now I've lost my license again. You're sticking me down in this place that I can't stay. What is going on? We're stuck back in the house. They renege on the That's no racial. I just speak how I speak. There is no like. I say rigging. That's what I do. Ask Johnny, goes, where did you learn this rigging? I don't know. I'm a natural. I just want to listen. I want to say the full name because it's so funny, but I understand we're in some sensitive times. And I am like a grade A expert at it. It doesn't mean it's a permanent fix, but it's going to get you to the right ones. You just need to stop. How many of these giggle videos? I can't keep doing giggle videos. Oh my gosh, Lord, where are we? story. So now I'm starting to lean more. Let's try this. So now I'm starting to lean more towards like healing arts and things, which makes sense because I had helped people before. So then, not with a whole lot of effort either. It wasn't like, oh no, you know what I mean? It was like, just hands on their arm or their foot. Okay, now it's starting to get, the world, I can see the world's getting really crazy, but now here I'm back dealing with this and dealing with this stupid booze again. I've been sober for some time, back and forth. Once the pedophile thing revs up, I'm drunk again with the sick fucks that never got in trouble, and this is 20 minutes long to say. Short and sweet right now, because this is enough is enough. Let's just say it took a lot longer than I had anticipated, but I wasn't ready. But see, that's the other thing. Other things weren't ready. I wasn't allowed to go wander off in South American tribal groups and work down there doing missions work or Greenpeace or any of it, Peace Corps. Ones where you use like slave labor, but that's what people call it that don't want to like do that type of work. But then I think some were actually getting reported in for not feeding the workers right. So what it would be is you would volunteer. I was young, free, no debt, nothing holding me back. Go down, you write your term of agreement, how long you want to work with them. You work in the fields with the tribal people, and you start to figure out ways to like navigate water, bring wells in, things. I learned construction, like just all of these amazing skills with some of these groups. So now they've got that completely. That's not going to happen. They knocked that right out of me. They were sending Eric to just drill me and like in my face and degrade me and shame me. How dare I want to go help people in other countries when we need enough right here? Like in just the craziest stuff. I'm trying to have like a dinner I make and prepare for him and my mom and dad, or maybe Eric was already out with Chris, the other demon, and I sit at the table and say, I'm doing this. I'm going to South America. Like, you can't keep doing this. And I was like 21 or 22. Great Aunt Jessie didn't let me get there. Why is she sick all of a sudden? In the stupidest way that I know she wouldn't do on her own. Don't tell me so crap about that. She wanted me down there. I wanted to be down there. Right there. You know what? That alone, if you just take that one thing, she's doing this thing. That's it. Now, long story short, I probably would have been a great evangelist, like running around sometimes places that actually want me to come and visit and, well, I guess scare people and make them mad, and maybe help someone. Is there still some kinks? I'm sure we've figured that one out. And he had to like progressively show me different doctrine that was more aligned with truth. That took a long time in between the rest of living in life and our stuff that we contend with, which is a little more involved than most. And so here I am. And I am supposed to believe as a child of God that it's no time too late and it's no time too soon. And it was when God wanted it, how he wanted it. He had to break down or simmer down or iron out or get rid of. Would I have wanted to go into church and be even, well, I won't really be working in a full church, I don't think. I don't really know, because I obviously didn't know to begin with very well, is God knew, though. God knew. And I couldn't be off just doing that because there was too much that needed to be done here. Regardless, if I never make it out of here, the chain reaction has started, and it's been started since, well, U of M and before I started my blog talk radios. I was getting into talks about stuff very close to this, the trafficking and things. And I shouldn't have yelled at people on the phone, but they probably had me blocked. So it's no biggie. But I'm not justifying what would be technically a form of abusive behavior. they call it reactive abuse, but how long can someone have that? I guess, like, then when you find out that the plot even thickens worse, and that there was money and legal transactions being done, and names being removed from stuff that was on documents, and all against me, all, like, hurting me. They're taking away my livelihood, my freedom, my financial independence, and to make sure to get me then locked in a ward or prison, period. So it took, if I got saved, we'll say between 94 and 95, can you really count that first year? So I, like, dove head first into some crazy studies. I think that was a really heavy rapture church, and they were very like, you don't get involved with the government, like as if it was separate, but yet we have to live with the government. And so then I got labeled as an anarchist and stuff, and I'm not an anarchist. I'm a constitutionalist. I always was. You would never have heard me in all the time that I learned the Constitution. When did we start learning it? What, 3rd grade? Or when? Like, early. And then they just, more and more. I don't even know if they learn it anymore. I would go home and learn it on my own. We didn't have many books, and I hated the TV a lot of times. I wasn't going to sit and argue about what to watch. I'd just go read encyclopedias. Just sit down. And then when I get dry, or get on a bike or whatever, I get to the library. And I had, at that time, not now, taught myself to do, like, a speed learn. And it doesn't mean that you get, like, all the nooks and crannies, and you do, like, an overview, but then you can kind of get the idea of it, and then I go back and do a deeper dive, because the way my brain works, so, like, if I were to sit down and be like, okay, I'm going to exactly learn this section, this whole book is reading for verbatim right now this minute, I can't. So I have to, like, go through, I have to do, like, small parts, and then into bigger chunks, and then kind of make it, really come together into a picture in my brain and a pattern. Otherwise, my brain would start to, like, float off, and, like, oh, look at this is a school. Oh, look at the beautiful flowers on the trees. Heather, what's what's the Second Amendment? Or whatever. All right, I gotta go. Bye.